Sitting with us today on the couch today is a man who I guess is predominantly known for his work with a little rapper named Drake, but has also produced for a few other little-known rappers like Eminem, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Rick Ross. Everybody give a big round of applause for Boi-1da.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's start at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You're born in Jamaica.
Yep.
And you moved to Toronto at a very young age.
Yeah, I moved to Toronto at the age of 3. Me and my family were in Jamaica, and they just wanted to get out of Jamaica, so to create more opportunities for themselves. So we ended up moving to Canada, Willowdale, Ontario, and yeah, I still live in Canada. So I'm 26 years old now, and yeah, I've been living there ever since.
Now there's a big Jamaican population in Toronto, correct?
Oh yeah, huge Jamaican population, because they won't let the Jamaicans into America, so we have to go to Canada. So I'm just joking. But
now,
I'm not.
Now, how has that influenced? Now, how has that influenced your music? Just that heritage?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up listening to dancehall music my entire life. Like I still listen to it, and there's like a different swing and timing to it that I think I bring to my music, which kind of fuses with rap. At the same time, and kind of me and another producer named 40, with his sound and my sound, kind of helped bring that to Drake and we created like his sound production wise with.
Now, how did you end up transitioning into becoming a hip hop fan?
I didn't listen to hip hop for a very long time. For a very long time, when I lived in Toronto, I was still listening to dancehall music, like Beanie Man and like people like Boi-1da and stuff like that. I started listening to hip hop when DMX started getting popular. Actually, like I didn't like rap before that. It was just straight dancehall. But I think Rough Riders Anthem was like the first song to ever make, first rap song I ever liked. And then after that, I just kept on listening. Like I was a little late into the rap game, but I'm a hip hop head, and I love hip hop, and I got into it big after that.
When did you realize that production was a route you were going to take?
I was always interested in production, especially when I was in high school. I was always inquiring and wondering like how beats are put together and structured. It was just a big mystery to me, and I always wanted to learn. So, I was having a conversation with some friends, and they were telling me about this program called FruityLoops, and it sounded funny, and I was like, it was easy to remember too, FruityLoops. So I was like, okay, cool. I went home and I downloaded it illegally. Sorry, but yeah, well, I didn't have any money at that time. I was literally a 16-year-old kid in high school, so I downloaded it, started using it, and like, to be honest, it became like an addiction to me. It was just so fun, the process of just making music and being able, like, I was just so excited and fascinated. I was like, I'm making my own beats, this is the craziest thing to me. So I would literally just do that majority of the day. Like nothing could stop me from doing that. Like I used to get in trouble too and get grounded. My mom would tell me like I was allowed to go outside, like watch TV and play video games. I just wasn't allowed to make beats. Like that was my punishment, like I wasn't allowed to go on the computer. So that's how much I loved production and FruityLoops.
Now you're still rocking with FruityLoops today?
Oh yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Have you had a chance to experiment with other software or hardware? Or?
I've tried the Machine before. It was fun to use. I just recorded. Somebody was just recording me on Pro Tools, making drum patterns on Machine, and I've tried to use Reason. Funny, my mom started making beats. Like the weirdest thing ever. She just started making beats on Reason one day, and she was trying to show me how to use it. And I was just like, this is confusing. I don't know, man. I'll just stick with what works for me.
Does your mom have some bangers?
Oh yeah. She had like she had one that was like kind of crazy, but like it was like kind of sloppy and all over the place. But like it was going somewhere, It was pretty cool. It's like my mom. She's like a 40-year-old Jamaican woman. It's just the most hilarious thing to me.
What does she think of your production career?
She loves it. She's very critical of my stuff too. You know, it was hard before because I was going through high school and music production was literally the only thing I wanted to do, the only thing I cared about. I didn't really care about going to school for anything else. I was just trying to go to school for music. And, you know, she was really like, you know, you kind of got to have something else because it's not like a sure thing. But, like, you know, like I just loved it that much that I just kept pursuing it. You know, like it was hard for her, but like she ended up, you know, just seeing things actually happen and progress and come into fruition. So like she's very excited about what I do. She actually works with me as well. Like her and my sister like assist me with my career and like stuff that I have to do and, you know, make sure I'm on point and stuff. So, you know, she's heavily involved with what I do and yeah, she loves it.
So on a slightly different note, you came up doing beat battles, correct?
Yes, I did.
Could you maybe explain to people who don't know what that entails?
Well, beat battles, what a beat battle is the ones I used to go to used to have like 32 participants, a bunch of producers. It doesn't matter what you use. You can just like come with anything as long as you have beats. And what it is just like one-on-one competitions of who just moves on to the next round, and then they just pair you up against each other. So it's like who has the better beat and who gets the crowd to react more to the beat. And there's judges as well too. So, you know, the first one I ever went to, I was like terrified out of my mind. I was only 17, and you know, it was pretty like nerve-wracking because I'm a 17-year-old kid coming from my basement. My boy literally just read like a news ad and said like there's like a beat competition, I should join it. I tried out, ended up making it. So when I went there, I was the youngest person there, and it was like a bunch of like grown men and stuff, and we're in the room all talking, and everybody's like, yeah, I use an ASR 10 45 gigabyte 12 combobulator. And I was just like I was like really intimidated because I'm just like, okay, I'm just using FruityLoops. Like these guys' beats are probably crazy. And then yeah, so like I just went out there and like I kind of just like killed everybody, to be honest. So and I did I joined like 3 years in a row, and I won all 3 of the competitions. It's called Battle of the Beatmakers, Toronto, and I ended up winning 3 years in a row. So.
And so I imagine that opened some production opportunities up for you?
Yes, definitely. Because I met a lot of people through the competitions and just talking to people. And, you know, I didn't have a manager before. I met up with a guy that, like, you know, I know this person and that person. You know, things ended up just escalating from me meeting people in Toronto from, like, Socrates to these are, like, local, like, Toronto, like, legends, like Socrates, Cardinal Official. And then I met up with one of my production partners named D10, and through him is where I met up with Drake. So that's where like that started. So
let's talk about that a little. What were your first impressions of Drake?
The first time I ever even heard about Drake was from my boy D10. He used to be in a band with Drake. It was actually Drake, another guy named Voice, and Melanie Fiona were like a group. And, you know, he would tell me about, like, Drake, like, oh, yeah, you might know him from Degrassi. He's that light-skinned guy from Degrassi. He's like, don't watch that, though. Like, he can actually rap. Like, and this is a time when, like, you know, like, 50 Cent was popular. Like, you know, in rap music, like, it was popular to be, like, hardcore. So I was just kind of like, I don't know about the light-skinned guy with the afro from Degrassi, if he can actually, like, rap. But, like, you know, like, he ended up connecting me with him, and we were talking through Messenger for a long time, and he sent me a song. The first song I ever heard from Drake was a song called Money. And you know, the way he did the song is like he's talking about money like anybody else would be talking about it, but it was in his own way, and it was just different. It was like he was just being himself. His rhymes were like amazing, and the beat was dope. He picked a dope beat too, and the song was really good. So I was just like, oh, I kind of like understood what he was trying to do. Like, and it was pretty interesting because, you know, it wasn't music that you have to turn down around kids or like your mom or anything. Like, it was like, you know, it was really relatable. It kind of related to me because we were like similar kind of people. So I really understood his vision and what he really wanted to do with his music from there. And we started working on his first mixtape from there. And that's how everything came together. That's how we started working with each other.
Shall we play something from that mixtape?
Sure. Yeah, old school Drake.
Notice you chuckling a little when I put that on.
Yeah, just because like it's he's so different from what he started out as. Like he's just like changed so much as an artist. So I haven't heard that song in a really long time. So it was just funny to hear it, and his little drops on the DJ thing was pretty funny too.
So tell me a little bit about kind of your process together. Did you guys click real quickly in the studio?
Yes, we clicked immediately. That was actually the first song we did ever. And he actually wrote that verse, and like I did that beat in like maybe 20 minutes. Actually, I was doing that beat, and we used to work in this like kind of rundown studio, and like the power went out, so I had to like remake that beat. So when he came in, he was already writing the song, and the power went out, and I was remaking the beat, and he was writing to it while I remade it, and it was just like a half an hour process for just that chorus and a verse and the beat all together. So it was just like immediately clickage, Yeah.
Now, what kind of reception was that stuff getting locally when you put it out?
Oh yeah, that got a huge reception. It was in heavy rotation on Flow 93.5, which is like Toronto's main urban radio station. That was on heavy rotation. A lot of people, like back in the days, like Toronto had like this sound that was like honestly like kind of terrible, to be honest. Like you could just notice when it was a local song on the radio. Like, like it's progressed a lot from now, but like you could tell when it was a local artist, and a lot of people didn't know that Drake was even Canadian, because like it was just like really good compared to like the other, like not to really like crap on anybody locally, but like it was just like on another level from any of the local stuff, which is like that's why it was getting like really high rotation out there.
Well, there are Canadian mandates that require Canadian music to be played on radio there, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's called CanCon. I think it's 30% of the music played has to be Canadian, so on the radio at all times. So it's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about the formation of kind of this production unit that evolved around Drake with you and 40 and T-Minus. Funny as it is, me and T-Minus actually went to the same high school. He was 2 years younger than me, and like he was just like a guy like me. We're just both like beat nerds and just talk about beats all day. So around the time I was working with Drake, I was like doing a lot of mentoring with T-Minus. We did a lot of old stuff together for Drake as well. We did a song called "Replacement Girl" that ended up him and Trey Songz he ended up going to Atlanta and recording it with Trey Songz. And during that time, at the same time too, is when Drake and D10 ended up meeting with 40, and that's when 40 kind of added his touch to everything. When 40 came in, he was just like he was engineering at first, and then like he always made beats and stuff too. But then on the So Far Gone mixtape is when he finally he kind of came into his own and started doing like a lot of production for Drake.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have developed a very unique sound in hip hop. I mean, it's definitely different than a lot of what was happening at the time.
Yeah, definitely. We just felt, me with my production, I was just trying to just be something different and bring something hard hitting to what Drake was doing. And 40, his sound was just like its own. It's just different texture. Is a different style of R&B. Like I feel like he kind of like changed the sound, the R&B sound, and he kind of brought that to Drake, and he put it out, and it was really cool. And with that So Far Gone mixtape, a lot of people, their responses was really good to that mixtape because it was just something fresh and different, and it was lyrical, and the beats were good, and yeah, it was pretty dope time.
Let's play the breakout hit from that tape, which you happened to produce.
Sweet. Thank you.
So what do you remember about the making of that track?
I remember when I first made that track, I was doing just like I was working on a bunch of different stuff, and this is around the time when Drake started going on tour with Lil Wayne. He just met with Lil Wayne and stuff, and he decided that he wanted to start this mixtape. So I was just working on stuff and sending him, and then he was just really like, yo, man, we got to finish up this mixtape. Like, I need like just I don't know, just like send me anything. And I literally like I did the beat for Uptown first, and then I honestly slapped that beat together, and I sent it to him. I didn't know that he would like react so much to it, but he was really just in love with that beat. It was really plain too. I didn't really add much to it, and then he just like reacted crazy to it. Sent me a song back in literally, I think it was like 8 hours. He took to do that song, and I was just like, yo, this is a hit. This is like dope.
So you were kind of still up in Toronto while the whole Drake explosion was happening.
Yeah, I was still there. We kept in heavy contact. He's like I talked to him every single day. So he was just like, yo, man, like tell me what he's doing, and you know the story of how everything's happening and how he's just at a barbershop, and then Lil Wayne called him, and then like everything, you know, and it just, I mean, there's a lot of people back at home, so it had everybody just excited, and everybody was just working, and you know, it was just a really good time. It was a great time.
Did you see kind of an explosion creatively in the Toronto scene after that?
Yes, definitely. The quality ever since Drake started doing his thing, and you know, really blew up and became really successful in rap, the quality of music in Toronto really got better. It was like a real motivation for everybody, because you know, being from Canada, being from Toronto, like I used to come to America and people would ask me like, did people rap in Canada? Like people have this weird perception that, you know, we all live in igloos and have pet polar bears and stuff like that, which is weird. Like people actually thought that, you know, so, you know, it was just great because we had no outlets, like zero outlets. There wasn't any, like the Canadian labels were not really catered to urban music. Like there's not that much urban acts. We had like Cardinal Official, Socrates, that was like our big hip hop acts. We had like, I think Deborah Cox and a few like other people that did it, Nelly Furtado that kind of did their thing too. But, you know, there was really like limited outlets for, especially for hip hop music. And, you know, I just felt like that whole surge that we created was just a huge motivation for a lot of people in Toronto. And it really stepped up the quality of music, because like I was saying before, like you could literally tell when it was a local Toronto song on the radio. Now I'm hearing songs on the radio when I'm driving, and like I'm just like, yo, just like the quality is matching with what's out right now. So it's pretty amazing.
I assume that tape also opened up some career opportunities for you personally.
Yes, it did, definitely. You know, it was like winning a beat battle almost, you know, like people just started calling my phone and asking for tracks that sound like Best I Ever Had, you know. I was just like, oh man, I have to make like 30 Best I Ever Hads, but I didn't do that. Like, you know, I really just like to, you know, progress and move on to other things. And it was a really, it was definitely like a huge opportunity, because, you know, with Drake exploding as an artist, you know, and me traveling with him sometimes, you know, you just meet people, and, you know, Drake, that's my boy. He would introduce me to a lot of people, and, you know, word just got out, and it was really cool.
Were there any artists in particular that reached out that were either unexpected or very exciting? Around
that time too, I think Big Boy from Outkast had reached out. I ended up producing a song for Outkast. It was supposed to be the Outkast like comeback song, and because of some label predicament, the song actually never got to come out as an Outkast song. It just got put on the internet, just because their labels couldn't agree to get it on the album, because they're on separate labels or something like that. But you know, that was a big one. You know, I got you know, requests from like 50 Cent, like a lot of people, Nicole Scherzinger. Like a lot of people were like reaching out for records, and it was really cool.
Should we play that Outkast record, perhaps?
Sure.
One of the things I like about that is how well it modernizes kind of the classic Outkast sound. Are you a producer who is tailoring beats directly for the artists you work with, or are you a just knock out a bunch of beats and see where it lands type of guy?
I do that sometimes, but I find it when you actually try and tailor something for somebody, it never really works out. So I kind of just aimlessly create, and afterwards I decide that, and then like I try to paint a picture with it afterwards and see what I could do with it. But yeah, I like just aimlessly creating. I just feel like great music will always just find a home anywhere. Like whether it's like you have an idea for this, if it's great, then it'll find a home. And just being a producer, you just gotta make sure like the best song possible comes out on top of it. But like somebody like Outkast, that was just a track I sent into them, and I literally just sent that one because that was like maybe the most like out the box beat I had at that time, and they ended up using it. So
Now, do you try to push yourself out the box a lot?
definitely like to push myself out the box, just because it's just I like to keep an open mind with music, especially me. I have a hip hop background, and I'm a huge hip hop head, and a lot of the hip hop today, it's very like much so like the similar, like everything almost sounds the same right now, so I try to be that guy that separates and does outside the box kind of music. So
Now let's talk about another pretty famous rapper who reached out around the same time. How did you end up linking up with Eminem?
When I actually got up with Eminem was I found the manager that I'm with right now, and he has a very, very close relationships with Eminem. He would always tell me that, and he's like that was right after I did the song called Forever for Drake, which Eminem was also featured on that song with Kanye West and Lil Wayne, and 40 had actually ended up going out to mix the song in Detroit with Eminem, and M asked 40 who did the track for Forever, so he told him it was me, and then coincidentally, like my manager ended up talking to him about me, and he ended up asking for some tracks, so I sent maybe about like 12 beats to him, and he ended up taking 2 of them for the Recovery album.
Now, have you guys gotten a chance to work together in real life? Or
I haven't got to work in the studio yet with him, but like around those times, there was a lot of like over the phone kind of stuff, like like for the mixing of the songs and stuff like that. We haven't actually got to get in the studio yet with each other, but probably soon. But it was I met him like maybe 3 times. He's a very cool guy, and yeah. But a lot of the time, it was just like I just sent stuff into him, and he ended up taking it.
now I've heard rumors that you might also be involved with Dr. Dre's Detox.
Yeah, that was another thing. I met up with Dre. It was just like mind blowing to me because Dre is like one of the reasons why I started even producing, because I was a big Dr. Dre fan, and my same manager has close ties with Dre and Eminem and all those guys, and I ended up going into a session with him, and like we talked, and I got to play him like tracks. Like I was just so nervous. I played him like maybe like 10 beats. He liked them, and that was just like my first opportunity at Detox. I don't know what's becoming of it. I have no idea what's going on with Detox, but yeah, that was just a cool time in my career too. I got to meet Dr. Dre and play him tracks and hear tracks that nobody heard before. So
Did he give you any wisdom while you were out there?
Yeah, he's just it was more like motivation, like he's just like, yeah, just keep going, man. I'm a fan of your stuff, and just keep sending me stuff. I like your sound, so it was really motivating, and I was kind of like, when I left, I was kind of like doing cartwheels and stuff on the low, because it was cool to be.
So while you're making these large leaps career-wise, do you have any advice you could give people on the business side of things?
Yeah, definitely. On the business side of things, I would say, if you're doing any transaction, paperwork or anything, make sure you have a lawyer definitely present to, read over things, because, that stuff can get really tricky with fine lining and, words in between and whatnot. I'm a music guy. I can't read those contracts. I'm pretty sure people here that are really involved in music, you're not gonna I mean, some people do go out their way to learn like a lot of that stuff, you know, and but it's like really crucial that you have a lawyer and, you know, make sure everything is on paper. And yeah, that's really crucial. Yeah, definitely for like the business side of things.
So I also wanted to ask you about a recent project, which was a record you did with Bizzle.
Yes.
That's an interesting project for a couple reasons. One being that I believe it's your first top-to-bottom full-length production.
Yeah.
What goes into that when you're making a full album with an artist?
A lot of time. That album was actually 2 years in the making. Bizzle was actually a Christian rapper that I heard his song. He had a song that was on World Star where he kind of like, you know, went at a few rappers, like some like Illuminati conspiracy kind of song. And I thought it was really interesting, you know, what he was saying and the way he raps and gets his message across. It was really dope. And I'm also a Christian as well. So, you know, I ended up hitting him up on Twitter and we kind of just connected and got the whole idea to work on an entire project with each other. So, you know, doing that entire project really took a lot of time and the whole mixing process and, you know, cutting songs and like, you know, he was just a straight raw rapper that, you know, I had to like show him like a few things, like not making the songs too long and, you know, but for the other part of it, like he did a great job and we just put it out, I think it was a few weeks ago. It debuted #1 on iTunes for hip hop and rap albums. It debuted on Billboard #11 rap albums and #2 gospel albums with no money behind it, no like push or anything like that. It was just really like Twitter word of mouth and just the fact that his music was just touching and just amazing. It's just something different, you know? He's talking about something different in his songs, you know, just growing up as a Christian, a guy believing in God and the fight and the struggles that he had to deal with. And it was really cool and interesting. And I thought a lot of people caught on to that.
Yeah, it seems like there's kind of a low-key renaissance in Christian rap happening right now.
Yeah, it's just I just feel like in rap music right now, people are just calling for something different. You know, there's a lot of the same thing happening over and over again. You know, so it's like really different, like outside the box and in a lane of its own. And it's relatable to people, you know. Sometimes people just want to hear music that they relate to, you know. And I know there's a lot of guys in church with like not much to listen to, because I remember like there's like a few years where I was heavily in church and like, you know, like I didn't really have much to listen to, you know, like, so like it was really good to, you know, put like commercial sound on him and do what I do for like all these other commercial people to him and bring that to like a gospel rapper, and it just ended up being a really dope project that a lot of people are vibing with right now.
Well, let's play something from there. So now, when you're working with an artist like Bizzle or another Christian rapper, and I mean, I guess being a Christian yourself, how do you rationalize those values with, you know, the slightly less pious work you're doing for, say, you know, Rick Ross or whoever?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like a lot of the stuff that I've done that are coming out now is like stuff I've done like a long time ago and whatnot, and it's just like coming out now. But like, you know, it gets difficult sometimes, you know, because I've been working with these people for a long time, and I've been, you know, like I've been like listening to hip hop for long, you know, so it's kind of hard for me with it being my job to like kind of stop working with them. You know, it's kind of my fight and like my way of even relating to what he's talking about, you know, which is like, you know, it's just like something that I'm battling with myself right now. So, yeah.
Do you ever get flack? I mean, you know, with an artist like Bizzle, like you say, he's rapping about the Illuminati and all that stuff, which we won't debate the existence of here. I think that's a conversation for another day. But, you know, I imagine guys like that are looking at a lot of the artists you work with as being part of something negative.
Yeah, I just believe that like the Illuminati is like something like way bigger than music, Like, you know, like I don't think that anybody. I think people have like a weird like perception of it. I just don't think that like the people who run the world want anything to do with like people doing like music like on something on such a small scale. You know, that's just my thing with it. Like I don't believe like it's like that real small scale kind of thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring the Illuminati into it. They're going to shut this whole thing down in like 5 minutes.
I know, the lights are just going to turn off and going to disappear.
So you've also been doing some documentary work, as I understand it.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into that.
I actually scored a film called Lenny Cook. It's about a basketball player named Lenny Cook that, you know, he was a prospect who was ranked higher than LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony when they were in high school. He was a high school basketball player, and, you know, it's just a story showing how he took the wrong path. Like he you know, he got too popular and it just all went to his head before he really, you know, buckled in and honed in on his real basketball abilities. And it shows him going from like his glory of being like ESPN top prospect to, you know, not making it, not being selected in the draft to, you know, being like now a 290-pound like guy who sits on the couch and just watches LeBron and kind of sobs every day because he could have been that, you know. And it's really like I got introduced to a guy named Adam Shopcorn who was actually filmed the whole thing and did all the production and whatnot. And I just heard the story and they asked me if I was interested in scoring it. And Joakim Noah was like an executive producer of it as well, who plays for the Chicago Bulls. He's like a center. So I was really interested in, like, because I'm a huge basketball fan, I was really interested in getting involved in it because I was just like a fan of basketball, and I enjoyed the story. And I thought that not a lot, but I think every high school basketball player, anybody doing anything, should actually watch it. And, you know, it just shows you what not to do, like, when you're in that kind of situation, you know.
Now, musically, how do you approach, you know, scoring a project like that? Is it much different than making rap beats?
Yes, it was. Like, they actually selected scenes that they wanted me to, you know, put music to. And, you know, I had to just sit down with the scene and just vibe with it. And, like, what I felt kind of music or beat or anything would be appropriate for the scene. And it was just something different, you know? Like, I had to, like, see what was going on, people's emotions and reactions, and put music to it. And it was really fun because I've never done anything like that before. So, yeah, it was amazing.
So let's talk a little bit about this new Drake album that's in the works.
Yeah.
Are you at liberty to speak on it?
Yeah, I could talk about how good it is. It's amazing. It's pretty good. Like,
An unbiased opinion, I imagine.
Yeah, like I'm a realist. Like, obviously, if it wasn't good, I'd say it wasn't, right? But it's Drake. Like, I think he's, like, right now one of the greatest rappers in the world. And like, the project after he made Take Care, I was like, man, this album's really good, and I don't know how you're gonna, like, make an album, like, better than this. But, like, man, he just keeps growing as an artist, and he's really doing his thing on this album. This album's really special.
Now, what's the vibe like in the early stages of planning a project like that? Do you guys all put your heads together and, like, plan out a direction?
Yeah, definitely. You know, he just kind of just does his thing, you know, like what I do with him is I just play him, like, I just come and I just vibe with him, and, like, you know, we just make stuff on the spot, or I just play him stuff that I think will work for what he wants to talk about or what he wants to do. And, you know, like, it kind of has no, like, blueprint on how we do it. We kind of just get together as, like, friends and stuff and just talk. And, you know, he always has something to play me first too. Like, you know, he'll do something with, like, 40 or just start, like, an idea by him on his own. And, yeah, like, we just get in and just make it happen.
Is there ever a point where you hear stuff he's working on with other producers and that kind of makes you want to change your direction or try something different?
Yes, definitely, because he works with 40, and I mean, 40's production is so amazing. Like every time I hear like a new 40 track, like that he does with Drake too, it's like he's always like evolving, and it's just motivation. You know, it's like when you hear something like really good and you just want to get into the studio immediately and make something. That always happens when I hear something new that Drake and 40 does together. You know, and it makes me want to just do the same and you know, contribute what I contribute to Drake's story.
Do you think we should play 5 a.m. in Toronto?
Sure. Thank you.
So it's a lot of subliminal shots being sent on that record.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that ever something as a producer that you worry about trickling down to you, that somebody you might be collaborating with outside of that might take the wrong way?
I mean, I don't think anybody else worries about that because, you know, like I'm a music guy, you know. I'm not really saying anything on the song, you know, but yeah, that's how he feels, and you know, he says what he says on his songs.
So what other projects do you have in the pipeline?
I'm right now currently working on Drake's album, obviously, and I've been working with I have an artist from Toronto that I've been working heavily with, like a brand new, totally different like sound that I've been doing. His name is Ben Stevenson, and you know, we're working on this music called Stadium Soul. Like, we're trying to make our own genre, and it's coming out rather incredible. So you might hear some stuff from that pretty soon. He's spectacular, and yeah, he's about to have like a you'll hear about it.
Explain Stadium Soul maybe a little bit.
Stadium Soul, man, it's kind of a thing. It's like modern day soul, like on a big level. Like, I don't know, like the name kind of explains itself, you know, like stadium, it's stadium big, but it's soul music, you know, like, so pretty self-explanatory, but yeah.
What made you guys kind of want to go down that path?
Just for this, like, you know, we're just myself as well, and like a lot of the guys I work with, you know, like I said, like I'm a hip hop head, but I also love just music in general, you know, and I'm always up for like evolving and changing sounds and, you know, just doing different stuff. And, you know, when I met Ben, you know, his voice was just so different. And, you know, I didn't want to assimilate him with anything else that was already going on because it doesn't make sense. So, you know, we've been working for like almost like 3 years now, like, you know, but we sat and really kind of found a lane and like a own sound for him that's pretty amazing. So, you know, I just don't want to give anybody anything that they've heard before, you know, like, oh, just another Justin Timberlake, just another this, like, you know, I want to do my own thing and always be known for that, because another person who's a master reinventing himself is Timberland, who's like a huge inspiration for me. And, you know, like, he's like one of the guys who I try to model myself after as well. And it's just something different for me. Like, it just keeps my mind just open and it's just fun to just get out of your comfort zone sometimes.
What else do you draw inspiration from?
I draw inspiration from a lot of movies and video games as well. Like, I watch a lot of like action fantasy movies and, you know, play like long drawn out video games sometimes, just because, like, I don't know why, but it just inspires me to make music after I watch a great movie, or, you know, or I play like a game that was really good. I don't know why. Like, it just, like, I'll just feel like going to the studio after. And yeah, I draw a lot of my inspiration from that, and, you know, just like, you know, spending time with my family and just talking with people that are just like, you know, grounded and stuff like that. Like, I just draw inspiration from that.
Is it tough staying grounded when you have, you know, many gold plaques on the wall?
No, not definitely not. Just because it's just the way I am. You know, I was never that guy who was, you know, saying that they're the best, or it's just not in me to do that and act. I don't know. Like I see some pretty outlandish like producers doing some pretty crazy stuff, and it's just not me. Like it's just not in my character. So I just don't do it because it's just if I did do it, it wouldn't be me being me. So I just stay in my own lane and just do what I feel is right, and it's just not a message or just not a way that I would want anybody else to carry themselves or like show anybody up and coming to act, just because I just think it's just stupid and expensive.
Well, on that note, maybe we should open the floor up to questions.
Don't raise your hands too fast.
Hey there, big fan.
Hey, thank you.
For Drake Take Care, he worked with a lot of other producers and kind of like went outside the like rap producer realm. He worked with like Stevie Wonder and Jamie XX. Did he keep you involved with all of these new collaborations that he was doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I talk to Drake like almost every single day. So, he'd be like, yo, I'm going in with Stevie Wonder. Like he'd always ask if I had anything, like an idea or anything, to spark anything off, So, and I think it's good that like, he finds different sounds and goes outside different producers, because he made an amazing song with Jamie XX. He made an amazing song with Just Blaze and, DJ Khalil, and like, I'm a fan of other producers, so it was just great to hear him on other people's stuff. Yeah.
Hello. Word has it that you used to rap way back. Are we going to hear anything from that?
Unfortunately, I used to rap. You probably won't ever hear me on the mic. I guarantee that. Like, I have nothing to talk about as a rapper.
I don't know. I think the people want to hear it. You got something
Really?
to bust?
I'm gonna rap about like watering my garden and stuff like that. I guess if anybody wants to hear that, or taking my daughter to school. I don't know. I don't have it. I don't feel like I have anything like super interesting that anybody wants to really hear about.
There could be a lane for taking your daughter to school rap. I won't count it out.
Yeah, a whole genre for it.
And second question, like this room is filled with upcoming amazing producers, and I wanted to find out how easy or how is it that you go about shopping beats? How can people like us get to shop beats to people on a higher scale and thereabout?
With the internet, like the internet obviously makes it like so much easier than back in the days to like get your music out, like through like outlets like SoundCloud and Twitter and even Facebook, like MySpace, a lot of things like that, as well as just just looking out in your city for like local events to go and like network with people, just like go out there and just get known, like even like obviously like this is an event too, like and everybody's out here, just get familiar with people and just rub shoulders as well, and don't be afraid to talk to anybody, don't be afraid to ask for somebody's email or anything, just dive into it, really. There's a lot of ways. There's not one specific way to get places, but like, there's just like tons and tons of ways to do it now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Is there anyone in particular, either a rapper or someone outside of rap music, that you'd particularly like to work with in the future?
Outside of rap music, you said?
Well, either outside of rap music or a rapper, like anything really.
Outside of rap, I definitely I'm a fan of Rihanna. I like Rihanna's music. I think she makes like a lot of hit songs. I definitely want to do a song with her in the future.
In the dance floor, right?
Yeah. Try some different stuff. I also like Justin Timberlake. I'm a huge fan of Justin Timberlake. I want to definitely work with him. I loved his new album. And who else?
Would you ever work with any dancehall MCs, perhaps?
Oh, dancehall, yeah, definitely. shoot, anybody. Like I like a lot of those guys, like Movado. I actually did a song with Movado on DJ Khaled's last album, so that was pretty cool because like I'm a big fan of Movado. My dad, like he's like a huge dancehall head. He loves Movado, so he's hyped. He was hyped about that. So like yeah, like anybody really, Yeah. Thank you.
Hey man.
Hey.
You said you draw inspiration from video games.
Yep.
Which video games did you find particularly inspiring?
Particularly inspiring. I liked. I was playing a lot of those Batman Arkham City games. Batman Arkham City. The latest one I played was Tomb Raider. That was pretty inspiring. The new one. And I also get inspired from handing out NBA 2K ass whoopings as well. So that's very inspiring to me. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I like those like games like Tomb Raider and like games that are long and that have a story. Because there's always music and everything in it. Just like it's like you're playing a movie, so it's pretty cool. And I get inspiration from that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Sorry, it's me again.
Hey.
Hey. Sorry, you mentioned you worked with DJ Khaled.
Mm-hmm.
Can you like talk about what the whole process was like working with him?
Working with him, it was pretty dope, man. He's such an energetic guy, man. It's like he's doing a motivational speech at all times. So it's like, like he just amps you up to, like he'll come with an idea or something and amp you up to do it, So he's a very motivational guy, and what he's doing is pretty big, So
when you were working with him, was it with Movado? And then Movado was like, yeah, we're going to put this with DJ Khaled, or was it with DJ Khaled primarily?
That was, I connected with him through DJ Khaled, but it was just like a thing where like DJ Khaled would be like, yo, I'm in the studio with Movado tonight. I need a movie. Like, he'd say something crazy and I'd just be like, yeah, like cool. Like, and then I would like either work on something or I would just have something already prepared, So like, yeah, I liked working with him because he's just motivated at all times, up at all times, energetic at all times, So.
Did you ever ride a speedboat with DJ Khaled?
Not yet. It's very likely though. That might happen pretty soon. Speedboat.
Sorry, when you're not making music, who's the regular everyday Boi-1da?
The regular everyday Boi-1da is just I really just chill, and I have a 2-year-old daughter that I spend a lot of time with, and if I'm not making music, I'm trying to do stuff for her and do activities for her. I'm like heavily involved in her life, and we do like lots of things like science centers. We go to a lot of places to like learn and just do things to stimulate her mind. So a lot of my life is like revolved around her and my family. I'm very close with my family, so I spend a lot of time with like my sister and my brother and my parents, and yeah, that's primarily what I do other than music. And I'm a basketball head. I just love basketball, and I'm always watching the games. And on the low, I have like hoop dreams, and I feel like I'm gonna make it to the NBA one day, play for the Raptors, because we need a superstar. So I'll be that. I'm sure.
Anyone else?
I feel like one of the trends today, and even in the past too, has been that coming up with an artist is like not necessarily a surefire way to make it, but if they make it, it's like a great way to basically boost your career into like this level that like, a lot of times feels like it's untouchable, and you're working with people like Bizzle and then the guy that's doing the Stadium Soul stuff. And, even with Drake, it's like what I guess has really like shocked you and like stood out and been like, yo, this dude could make it, like, or like something that you look for to be like, yeah, I think this is onto something.
Yeah, that was actually another thing that I didn't mention too with what that was answering your question is with, finding an artist as well to work with and kind of come up with. But I don't know, it's just usually like when I see certain people, like even with Drake, you just gotta get it. Like, you know, as a musician or a producer or writer or anything, you just gotta understand like the vision and like what you guys both think together have to just make sense, you know. And like with Bizzle and like Ben Stevenson and like, well, with Drake to start off, like I just thought it just made perfect sense, and he was a dope rapper, and you know, I just got it. With Ben, you know, his voice was just different, you know, and I felt like he like a different voice like that needs its own kind of sound. And with Bizzle, it was just like my experiences being in church and like, you know, like, and how much of his music that I relate to and the questions that he's asking in his songs that I ask all the time, you know, and you know, just being like, you know, there's no lane really for Christian rappers, and you know, and me just wanting to contribute to that really. So it's just like you just gotta understand it and just have a vision and, you know, really just paint a picture with everything.
Cool. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, you were talking about like how back in the day, Toronto, like the local Canadian hip hop, you know, just you could really hear it right immediately when it came on the radio. It wasn't up to the quality or whatever. But do you feel like, you know, rather than, you know, necessarily it has to sound exactly like American rap, that like Toronto could have its own, you know, sound, like that there's something in its identity there, the, you know, the makeup of the city there, that the hip hop kind of should sound different coming from that?
Yeah, like now I feel like Toronto has its own sound now, you know. Its own sound is like Drake. It's like The Weeknd. There's a new guy too that's making a lot of noise up there named Party Next Door. You know, that they all have this sound, and it's like that cold north kind of almost emo, but not really, you know. I feel like that's our sound, and you know, as you can hear, like a lot of people in music are doing it, you know. And that sound originated from Toronto. It started with Drake, and it's, you know, it's taking its turns and transforming into different things. And you know, I feel like it'll happen again with somebody else, and you know, it just, music lives forever and it keeps changing, you know. So I definitely think now we've definitely created that sound. So yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? Yeah, there's someone in the back.
Hi. Sometimes I feel like the roles get confused, but can you explain the importance of the relationship between the artist, the engineer, and producer?
The artist, the roles of the artist, engineer, and producer are. I'll start off with the role of the engineer. Well, the engineer is somebody who records the music of, records the artist, and like kind of assists the artist's vision in how he wants to portray himself on the song. You know, so the engineer is the person who really kind of landscapes for the artist a little bit, and like records him, obviously, you know, adds the effects and makes his what do you call it, the things that he's imagining him doing come to life, like, you know, with effects, reverb, and, you know, all that stuff, leveling and whatnot. The artist is obviously, you know, the person vocally who's doing the stuff on the song, and, you know, with the idea, who comes up with the ideas most of the time, because it's the artist's song. So he comes up with the ideas and the songs, obviously, and the producer, I feel like, is the person, you know, whether you work with the artist, some producers work with the artist on painting the picture and assist, or some just like bring like a canvas there, and the artist kind of just, it's like painting, you know. It's like the producer is almost like an artist as well, who brings like the painting there, and the artist does his thing on the painting as well. That's how I look at it, you know. And some people like to paint together, some people like to paint separately, you know. And that's how I could best explain it, the difference between all of them. And the producer, you know, with different songs comes like arranging and mixing, which you know, producers do a lot of that stuff as well.
Anyone else? Oh, we got one in the back.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
My little brother is just starting to make beats, which is very exciting for me. So he sends me his stuff, and it's been nice to see him grow and develop, but he definitely abuses some sounds, like he loves the hay. So what would be like a bit of advice for a young kid starting out? Like, what would be your tip?
For a young kid starting out, definitely when I was young and starting out, I definitely obviously tried to like imitate like songs. I would like remake beats just to learn to, you know, like, I don't know, it teaches you something when you just try to remake a beat. I used to try to remake all the Neptune's hits and stuff like that. And you just learn how to structure songs. You notice that, oh, this changes here, the bass drops out here. And like, you know, you start learning things like that. So I definitely say like, you know, recreate some stuff, mimic some stuff, you know, and definitely, you know, keep an open mind, you know, just, you know, tell them like, don't put the hay on everything, you know.
Exactly.
Like, you know, but yeah, I definitely say just listen to a lot of music, keep your mind open, and, you know, don't be afraid to go outside the box and, you know, just do your own thing, because that's where a lot of people, you know, figure out their style and their sound from just, you know, just doing weird things and listening to weird music and assimilating that into their own, mixed with like somebody else. You know, it just can all just come together and you can just figure something out.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey man, how you going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. I was just wondering if you read much at all, and if you did, then what inspires you?
Yeah, I read a lot of comics and stuff. Like I just bought like all those like Walking Dead comics because I'm addicted to that show. So I read like comic books and things like that. Like not like full, like, I don't know, like I try to read like novels and stuff like that, but like it sometimes gets like it doesn't get my attention, you know. Like I like a lot of visuals and stuff. That's why I choose to like read like comic books and whatnot, just because I like those kind of things. I'm kind of like a nerd, you know. So yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? Why don't we skipped over a few big records. Why don't we play, what do you think, Forever?
Sure. Thank you.
Pretty stacked lineup on that record.
Oh yeah. It's pretty cool.
When did you find out that that was going to be the lineup for that song?
Originally, that song was supposed to be Drake and Kanye, and it was they asked for a song for that song's actually on the LeBron James movie soundtrack. He came out with a movie about his life before he made it to the NBA, and then that was on the soundtrack of it. And originally, I was pretty hyped already. I was like, cool, Drake and Kanye. And then after Drake hit me and said that Lil Wayne was gonna jump on the song too, so I was like, wow, pretty amazing. And then after like maybe like a week after, like before the song's coming out, they said Eminem was jumping on it, and my manager ended up telling me that, and I was just like, I was like, because I'm a huge Eminem fan. Like, I think Slim Shady LP was the first album I ever bought ever, so I was really hyped for that, and he went crazy on that, so it was pretty cool. Like I was in shock.
All right. If nobody else has any more questions, anything else you wanted to add?
I don't know what else to say.
Cool. Well, everybody give a big hand for Boi-1da.
Thank you, everybody.